Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about the next application that I'm going to launch on Dekay Hub portal. It's going to be called Volatility Grid. And in this video, I'll try to give an overview of what the tool does. So Volatility Grid is just a dashboard that gives you volatility of all the pairs on the exchange across different time frames. It's just a dashboard that gives you a bird's eye view of all the pairs on an exchange and the respective volatility across different time frames. So let's say a particular coin is pumping or it's dumping. Using this dashboard, you won't miss out on any coin that is moving. So because it gives you a bird's eye view, you'll be able to spot all the coins at once. So you can snipe or you can see exactly which coin is moving and by how much. And I think this dashboard is useful for traders who trade across different time frames. So let's say if you're a day trader, you might be interested in the lower time frames, or if you're a medium term trader, you might be interested in the hourly or 2 hour or 4 hour time frame, or if you are someone who holds your coins a little longer, then you might be interested in the daily time frame. So there is something in this for every type of trader, in my opinion, and I think it's going to be quite valuable. To be honest, this is not my original idea. I got this idea from Filicon, whom I've known since 2017. He offers advanced volatility scanner for about $150, and this idea is going to be predominantly based on this. But the thing is, this scanner is built on TradingView platform, but what I'm going to build is going to be a standalone website. I'm going to build all the components of the infrastructure, the backend, front end, and everything from scratch. It's not going to be a toolkit that is built on top of TradingView. Along with that, I don't want to just imitate the idea. I want to take it and maybe add my own flair to it by offering more features or offering different kinds of visualizations. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some more aspects of this tool. I'll try to keep it layman friendly so that someone who's not from a technical background can still understand and appreciate the complexity that goes behind building something of this sort. So let's get started. When I first started writing down the requirements to build this application, I thought I'll just include 1 hour and higher time frames and exclude all the other time frames below 1 hour, like 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and so on and so forth. So because I'm just showing 1 hour and higher time frames, I thought I could just use 1 hour candles to calculate the volatility. But I was so wrong. You cannot accurately calculate using 1 hour time frame. Let me explain why. So let's take the current bar, right? So it opened at 5:30 a.m. and the time right now is 5:33 a.m. So if you were to calculate the 1 hour, let's just take 1 hour for simplicity sake. So let's just say you're calculating the volatility for the last 1 hour, right? So if you take 1 hour bars to calculate, this candle opened at 5:30 a.m., right? And if you're calculating now at 5:34, you're only calculating for the last 4 minutes, but not for the last 1 hour. So to calculate for the last 1 hour, you need to take the price at 5:34 a.m. and 4:34 a.m. But if you go to the previous bar opened at 4:30 and closed at 5:30. So you don't know what the price was at 4:34. To get the calculation accurate, instead of taking 1 hour candles, you need to take 1 minute candles and then use a rolling window to calculate the volatility. So what I mean by rolling window is, at any given instance, you take the last 60 bars, 60 1 minute bars equals to 1 hour because we are calculating for the 1 hour time frame. So every instance you take the last 60 bars and then use that for calculation. And similarly, if you're calculating for the 4 hour time frame, you take the last 4 times 60, that's 240. So at any given instance, you take the last 240 bars and use that to calculate. So that is the reason you need to use 1 minute candles to be able to accurately calculate the volatility. So what I'm trying to say is, you are processing more data, so it's computationally expensive to calculate volatility using 1 minute time frame. And it's also harder to write the code because you're using a rolling window, which is slightly complicated to implement as compared to using just 1 hour candles and just taking the candle open time. So even though it's computationally expensive and harder to write the code, you need to do this because that is how you can calculate accurately. So now that we realized that using 1 minute candles to calculate volatility is computationally expensive, Let's look at the math. Let's see how expensive it really is. So these are the timeframes that I decided to implement. Like I said, initially I just wanted to go with 1 hour and higher timeframes, but because we're using 1 minute candles, I can also go ahead and implement for the lower timeframes as well. So we have these 8 timeframes ranging from 1 minute to 1 day. And I think this includes the entire spectrum of all types of traders. So if we were to calculate for all these timeframes, let's start with Bybit Spot Exchange because that's the first exchange I'm going to implement. There are about 600 pairs on the Bybit Spot Exchange, and for all these timeframes combined, you have about 1911 candles on the 1 minute time frame. So you have to process 1911 times 600, which comes around 1.146 million candles that you need to process every minute. As you can see, it's quite computationally intensive to perform over 1 million calculations every minute, but I will show you shortly how we're going to achieve this. Now, here is the architecture that we're going to use to achieve the desired calculation limit. Again, it's not exactly how it's going to translate in the real world, but it's a reasonably close approximation. So we'll have a few proxy servers to distribute the network load. On these proxy servers, we'll subscribe to the Bybit Spot WebSocket and listen to the 1 minute candlestick data. And we're going to relay those to the main application that is going to reside on volatilitygrid.dekayhub.com. As you know, all the projects will be under the dekayhub.com domain going forward. So we'll deploy this application at volatilitygrid.dekayhub.com. And this is where we will take the candlestick data and have the volatility calculated and stored locally. And the users who subscribe to the website or connect to the website can have access to the dashboard. So this is an approximate architecture that we're going to use for this application. Now let's look at some key features that I'd like to see implemented in this application. Starting with timeframes, as I mentioned earlier, I'll be including these 8 timeframes starting from 1 minute all the way till 1 day. I think these 8 timeframes cover the entire spectrum, including day traders, medium-term traders, and also slightly longer-term traders as well. Starting with exchanges, I'd like to start with Bybit Spot Exchange because Bybit provides a really reliable WebSocket connection, and it also only has 600 pairs. So I want to start with something that has, a smaller set of pairs so that I can see the load and see if it's really stable or not. So yeah, I want to start with Bybit Spot Exchange and then later on expand this to Bybit Futures and Binance Spot and Binance Futures. So these are the 4 exchanges I have on the radar right now for this app. But depending on the feedback and how well it's received, I'll consider in the future expanding it to other exchanges as well. Frequency of updates, like I mentioned earlier, in order to update this every minute, we'd have to perform 1 million calculations. So I think that strikes the right balance. So I'm going to set the refresh frequency of the dashboard every minute. Next, I want to be able to sort the pairs in ascending or descending order or by volatility. So I want you to have, by you, I mean the users who are using the dashboard, to be able to sort the pairs either by alphabetic order in ascending or descending order or by volatility is what I'm saying. Next, I also want to have a copy to clipboard feature, which is again, I don't think it's available in the other version. But yeah, if you can just click on the pair and copy it to the clipboard, I think that would be really handy. These are the features I'd like to see implemented in the first version. But again, depending on how it's received, I want to add more features as well. Like I want to add different kinds of dashboard instead of just having a simple grid layout, and maybe even add an alert feature so that if you have a set of favorite coins that you want to watch and get notified when it hits a certain volatility on a certain time frame, I think that would be handy to have. So alerts is something that I want to implement in the future depending on how well it's received. With all that said, I want to be very clear, this is not a trade signal provider. It's just a piece of information that you can take into account in your other analysis or other aspects of your trading style. So what I'm saying is this is not a magic buy, and it's not going to give you a magic sell and buy indicators or buy signals that you can just blindly execute and expect to make profits. No, this is not that kind of tool. It just gives you a bird's eye view of the volatility across the platforms so that you don't miss out on coins that are moving or coins that are active at that moment. Trading is risky. There's a likely possibility that you could lose money. So do your own due diligence, and this is not any financial advice. Lastly, I want to touch upon the pricing. The original tool that inspired me to build this goes around $150. It's a one-time fee and you get lifetime access to it. I'm still not sure on how to implement the pricing model, but here is what I think about it. There's going to be a free tier. It's a generous free tier. And then you're going to have a paid tier with all the bells and whistles and extra features. I want to build it in a way where more people would want to opt for the paid tier. So I'll try to offer it at a low price point because that would encourage more and more people to opt for the paid version. So yeah, I haven't decided on the exact numbers. First, I want to get the other aspects right, make sure it's built well and it works well, and then I'll think about the pricing. So we'll revisit this aspect at some point in the future. That's it for the video. What do you think about this tool? Do you find it exciting? Do you find value in this? Leave your feedback in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.